My mechanic left a voicemail. Your brakes were cut. Someone tried to kill you. I played the message 3 times before it sank in. Tony's voice was shaky, not his usual calm tone when he talked about oil changes and tire rotations. I was sitting in my apartment eating leftover pizza when my phone buzzed, and now I felt like throwing up. Earlier that morning, my car had been making weird scraping noises when I pressed the brake pedal. Nothing dramatic, just enough to make me nervous during my commute to work. I dropped it off at Tony's shop around lunchtime, figuring it was just worn brake pads like last time. But someone had deliberately cut my brake lines. Someone wanted me dead. My hands were shaking as I called Tony back. He picked up on the first ring. Listen, kid, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like it. Clean cuts with a razor blade. This wasn't wear and tear. Someone crawled under your car and did this on purpose. I couldn't think straight. Who would want to hurt me? I taught 3rd grade at Roosevelt Elementary. My biggest drama was dealing with parents who thought their kids should get better grades for trying hard. I lived alone, didn't date anyone seriously, kept to myself mostly. Then I remembered something that made my stomach drop. 3 weeks ago, I'd witnessed a hit-and-run accident on Maple Street. A black pickup truck had slammed into an elderly man crossing the street, then sped away without stopping. I was the only witness who got a clear look at the license plate. I'd given a statement to the police and testified at the court hearing last week. The driver was some guy named Brad who already had 2 DUI convictions. His lawyer tried to make me look unreliable, asking if I wore glasses, if I was on my phone, if I was sure about what I saw, but I was positive. The judge sentenced Brad to 5 years in prison. That had to be it. Brad must have friends or family who blamed me for putting him away. I called Detective Morrison, the officer who had handled the case. He took my call seriously and said he'd have patrol cars drive by my apartment building. He also suggested I stay somewhere else for a few days while they investigated. I packed a bag and drove to my sister Kelly's house across town. She lived in a quiet neighborhood with her husband and 2 young kids. When I told her what happened, she turned pale and immediately started checking all their door locks. "You're staying here until they catch whoever did this," she said. "No room for argument. The guest room is yours for as long as you need it." That night, I barely slept. Every car that drove past made me jump. I kept thinking about how close I'd come to dying. If Tony hadn't been so thorough, if I'd driven on the highway instead of back roads, I could have crashed at 60 miles per hour with no brakes. The next morning, Detective Morrison called with an update. They'd arrested Brad's younger brother Kyle and his friend Danny for criminal mischief and attempted murder. Kyle had been bragging at a local bar about taking care of the witness who sent his brother to prison. Someone overheard and called the police. Turns out Kyle had been following me for days, learning my routine. He knew where I worked, where I lived, where I got my car serviced. He and Danny had crawled under my car in Tony's parking lot while I was at work, thinking they were being clever. But they didn't count on Tony being so careful with his inspections. A week later, both Kyle and Danny were charged with attempted murder. Kyle got 8 years, Danny got 6. Brad's sentence got extended by another 3 years for conspiracy.